Good day, my beloved brothers and sisters of the Age of the Cornerstone. I hope you've been having a fantastic week so far, and today we'll be going into Lesson 4. Before we begin, let me just say, God, thank you for bringing us today in your holy light and giving us the time and understanding to continue to work in your divine program. Bless this class material and the dedicated students that have taken the time to learn the technique needed to play and interpret your divine music. In the name of our beloved Lord, amen. Alright, well, I hope everyone has been having an awesome day so far, and like we see before us, welcome! I hope that you've all had time to actually go back and work on your quiz for lessons 1 through 3. Those are very important that you complete in all the assignments that have been uploaded so far. You need to make sure that you're completing them on a timely manner. If you need any assistance, please feel free to call me or send me a message. Even though we're all on different time zones, I will respond to you as soon as I am able. Again, let me preface this to say that I've only received a few assignments from my students, and I still want to reiterate that it's of utmost importance that you all complete every assignment because it's basically to prepare you for your upcoming exams. Grades are not weighted so much in this class, so every assignment matters as much as the exams. I do not want anyone to get behind and you still have time to catch up, since we only have been having a couple lessons so far over the past month. But with that said, let's continue on to the next lesson, which is the music staff. Today we'll be going over aspects of the music staff, and at the end we'll be able to identify parts of the music staff and what each line represents. Alright, what is a music staff? Most music is written on a staff, plural, staves, of 5 lines and 4 spaces. The lines and spaces are numbered from the bottom to the top in order to indicate their place on the staff. Each line and space is named for a letter of the alphabet using only letters in most cases. The names of the lines and spaces are determined by the clef that's used, and we'll go over that later. So right now, all we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines and 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And we'll always start counting from the bottom and then work our way up. So with our lines, we work from the bottom up, and from our spaces, we work from the bottom up. We'll talk about the space above and below, and if we want to go even farther up and farther below, we'll go into that a little bit later. Parts of the staff. So we have our bar line. It's a vertical line that crosses staves in order to show how music is divided into bars according to the time signature. Ledger lines. A short line added for notes above or below the range of the staff. Measure. The space between 2 bar lines. Double bar line. Used to separate different sections of a musical passage. Bold double bar line. It indicates the conclusion or end to a movement or an entire musical composition. Now let's look at these in a little bit more detail. So here we have our music staff. And here at the beginning, we have our clef. Here is where we would normally see our clef at the beginning of the musical piece, but it can sometimes change to different clefs throughout a musical piece, and sometimes when those change, we'll have to show them again throughout the piece. But we'll go into detail as to when that would happen and how often that would probably happen. But so for our symbol right here, we usually find this at the beginning. But if the music changes, and it usually happens after this part, so we would see either another symbol similar like that, or a completely different symbol. Okay. Next is our bar line. This is a single vertical line that we use to divide our music into parts that make it easier to read and when we practice. Be able to isolate parts to practice and polish. We always use bar lines in our musical composition. This is just a simpler way to divide our music up so that we can easily identify each part. And for our next part, we have the ledger lines. Ledger lines are the small horizontal lines, ones that go across, that can extend our music staff if the instrument or voice has to play beyond the amount of lines or spaces we have available. Many instruments tend to go a little bit higher or a little bit lower than what we have established on their staff. So ledger lines can be added on top or below the music staff, and the higher the range, the more lines we can add on top. Same goes if we need to go lower. We can add them for the places our notes need to go. We can then place our notes on these lines or in the spaces between, depending on what notes we want our musicians to play. Just like in this example here, they are very helpful. So as we can see here, every time we need to go up either a line or a space, we'll just continue to add them, going up or going down. So let me demonstrate what that would look like. So we have our ledger line down here. If I needed to go lower, I'd go down there and go down there. And usually if you ever get to a point that's this many lines, we would eventually change this symbol right here if we had to go down. Same way if we had to continuously go up at a certain point, it would just make it a lot difficult to read. So this symbol would then change again. Alright, our measure. Here is the space between two bar lines and it's called a measure. In a piece of music, each measure is always going to equal the same amount of beats or pulses unless it's been indicated to change. Most of the time, musical pieces will have their measures numbered to facilitate reference part of a piece for clarification or practice. Even if all the measures aren't numbered, typically the first or the last measure of each line will, for faster reference than just without it. In this example, right here, you can see that only the first measure of each line is numbered. Right here, right here, right here. Typically, the first or last measure of each line will be numbered for faster reference. So just like we have here, our first measure of each line is numbered. In case you want to practice with a group and you need to work on a certain section, you can then say, hey, I think we should try playing only through measures 5 through 8 again so we can fix so-and-so problem. That's when having numbered measures is very beneficial. Now going on to our double bar line. Here we have our double bar line. Notice that both lines are the same. They're the same width, neither one is darker than the other. This set of bar lines indicates that we have ended one section and are beginning another. This will also be felt in the piece as well, either it being an upbeat or energetic musical piece now going into a more calm and passive section. There are no limits as to how many sections a musical piece can have or how different they may be. Differences can also be just as subtle, but that is then at the discretion of the composer. The bold double bar line. In one of these two bar lines, one is thicker or darker than the other. This tells us that the song or piece is just about to end. Once you get to this point, you should not be playing anymore. In music, the beginning of a piece and the ending are the most important aspects, so make sure you pay attention when this comes up. One line will always be darker than the other one, and it's always going to be the last line is going to be the darkest. So this line right here will always be darker than this one. It'll show that it is the end of a musical piece. Now we'll be going into our note names. In music, each line and space on the staff will get a name. In Anglo-Saxon, which is the one we will be using most of the time, it goes from A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then it starts over. Remember, it only goes from A to G and then back to A. So you'll only need to remember A through G, nothing more. So once we get to G, we start over from A and keep going. If we were going backwards, we would go from A to G to F and so on. Next we have in Latin or Latin American countries, they use do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And then it starts over again with do. So you go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And then we would start over with do. And if we were going to go backwards, we'd go from do to si, la, so on. And go backwards. You'll always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There'll always be 7 note names for each one. For my singers, you'll also come across this when you start ear training, but in English, instead of using C, we use T when referring to the note to sing. So, it's in your best interest to get familiar with them now. In music, this is called solfege or solfeggio. It can also be called solfa, solfa, solfeo, among many names. It is a musical educational method used to teach oral skills, pitch, and sight reading of Western music as well. And our last one that I threw in just as a fun extra is the German form. So in the German form, we have A, H, C, D, E, F, and G. The reason why instead of using B and they use H is not very much known. A lot of it has to do with the nomenclature of German. Because of their nomenclature, instead of using B, they use H. They refer to their B flat as B. You won't be required to know this, but in case anyone decides to travel, just keep in mind music terminology can be affected by culture. It is speculated that the reason that it's this way is due to a lot of people's messy handwriting back then and people misinterpreting the symbol, which led to this happening, but that also remains just to be a theory. Again, the German form, I won't require you to remember it. For those singers, the Latin form is going to be your best friend. So please do remember that. For everyone else in this course, the Anglo-Saxon form is the one I want you to remember. So there'll only be 7. Each category there are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Now let's do a little bit of trivia. Question 1. Which is a bar line? Is it A, B, C, or D? The answer is A. A is the bar line. It's just one single vertical line. Question 2. What are the note names in Latin? Is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, or A, H, C, D, E, F, G? The answer is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. Question 3. Which is a double bar line? A, B, C, or D? The answer is B. A double bar line is just 2 normal, exactly the same looking bar lines. That's why we call it a double bar line, because there's 2 of them, and they're both the same. Question 4. What are the note names in Anglo-Saxon? Is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, A, H, C, D, E, F, G. And the answer is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Question 5. Which is a bold double bar line? A, B, C, or D? And the answer is C. C is our bold double bar line. It is 2 double bar lines, but one is bold and the other one isn't. Alrighty, that's all for today. Again, there's going to be an assignment attached to this lesson 4 over everything from the beginning of this lesson to now. Again, please make sure that you've done all your previous assignments from lesson 1 to 3, and your exam on lessons 1 through 3. Because the last thing we need is for anyone trying to go back and try to do all of their assignments at once. It's just going to save you a lot of trouble, and I might have to start assigning these to be due at a certain time. That way, some of you might feel the urgency that these have to be done in a certain time frame. I'm really hoping I don't have to do that. So please make sure that you're working on your assignments. I know some of you have been very diligent in doing your assignments, and I do congratulate you, making sure that you are diligent in completing your work. So please make sure you get that done. Like I said, if you have any issues accessing any of your assignments or any of the videos, please message me on WhatsApp or send me an email or message me through the classroom. Well, that has been all for this lesson. Thank you guys so much for being very patient, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Alright, bye-bye.